Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're getting into the literal blueprint of personal growth. We're going to unpack exactly what it takes to stop, spinning your wheels and actually start making some real, tangible progress in your life. We're looking at the source material on the architecture of accountability, which breaks down these deep, kind of hidden mechanics of how we either hold ourselves back or propel ourselves forward. I'm absolutely pumped to guide you through this today, because understanding this structure, it's literally the master key to unlocking the life you actually want to live. Okay, let's dive into this. The source text hits us right out of the gate with this profound, foundational statement. Your life changes when your commitment becomes bigger than your excuses. Let that sink in for a second. Notice it doesn't say your life changes when things get easier, and it definitely doesn't say it changes when the perfect opportunity finally rolls around. No, it hinges entirely on an internal shift. It's a battle of weight, really. The weight of what you actually want versus the weight of the reasons you keep telling yourself you can't have it. Which brings us to Section 1, the weight of excuses, recognizing the lies we tell ourselves. Because before we can build anything new, we've got to clear out those avoidance patterns taking up space in our heads, right? And we all know exactly what these sound like. Here's the big one. I'll start tomorrow. I mean, it's the ultimate lie of convenience, isn't it? We somehow convince ourselves that our future self is magically going to have way more energy and willpower than our present self. It's a classic case of present bias. Our brain's just prioritizing immediate comfort over future rewards. Or, how about this gem? I'm not ready. We use this illusion of perfect conditions to just permanently delay taking any action. We trick ourselves into thinking we need, more research, more time, maybe more resources before we can even take that very first step. And then there's the absolute classic, I don't have time. We say it's so fast, but when we really look at the root of this one, it is almost never about the clock. Actually, scratch that. It's never about the clock. It is almost always a lack of prioritization. We make time for what we truly value. Honestly, if you look closely at your calendar, your real priorities are already staring right back at you. And finally, what if I fail? Now this is the deepest one. This is the core avoidance tactic that's secretly powering all the other excuses we just talked about. We construct these massive, super elaborate barricades of logic purely to protect ourselves from the very possibility of falling short. But look at these universal hurdles. The source material makes a really crucial point here. Absolutely everyone faces these. Every single person has fear. Everyone has fatigue. We all deal with doubt, distractions, and an endlessly long list of reasons to just throw in the towel. If you're feeling these things, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're incapable. These aren't character flaws. They are deeply human, totally universal hurdles. The people who succeed, they feel the exact same weight that you do. And that brings us to a huge turning point in our understanding. The source material puts it perfectly. But growth begins when a person stops negotiating with excuses and starts acting despite discomfort. Notice that phrase, acting despite discomfort. The goal here isn't to magically eliminate fear or fatigue. That's impossible. The goal is to stop treating your excuses like a bargaining partner. You have to lean directly into that discomfort if you actually want to grow. So let's look at Section 2, bridging the action gap, filling the space between now and your goals. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're up against. Just picture this gap in your mind for a second. On one side, you have your current reality. On the other side, across this vast, super intimidating canyon, are your future goals. And for most of us, let's be real, it's absolutely overwhelming to even look across it. But the text gives us the exact materials we need to build a way across. The bridge between those two sides, it's constructed from 3 structural pillars: consistency, discipline, and personal accountability. You simply cannot cross a gap this big with a fleeting burst of 2 a.m. motivation. It has to be structurally bridged, literally brick by brick, by holding yourself accountable day in and day out, especially when you don't feel like it. The source heavily emphasizes this. You can't rely on motivation. Motivation is just a feeling, but consistency and discipline, those are structural actions. So, the absolutely crucial point is this. Transformation happens when action becomes stronger than avoidance. It's a literal tipping point. Every single time you choose to take action, you're dropping a weight onto the commitment side of the scale. Eventually, your learned instinct to act simply overpowers your natural, biological instinct to avoid the hard work. Let's move into Section 3, the engine of transformation, the mechanics of real change. Let's move to this and see how it builds. Because honestly, this is one of the most powerful truths in the entire text. It's a three-step progression. First, motivation starts you. It's the spark, right? But motivation always fades, always. And that is exactly when step 2 takes over. Discipline carries you. Discipline is what literally forces you out of bed when the motivation is completely gone. And finally, step 3, persistence transforms you. When that discipline is repeated over a long enough timeline, the fundamental nature of who you are actually begins to change. Because transformation isn't just one big, dramatic, cinematic event. It's an accumulation effect. The text tells us that these small daily victories over our excuses create this incredible cascade of results. Think about it. You beat an excuse today. Boom, you gain confidence. You do it again tomorrow, you build self-respect. Keep that up and you generate absolutely unstoppable momentum. Defeating your excuses in these tiny, seemingly insignificant, everyday moments literally compounds into an entirely different life. Bringing us to section 4, architecting your destiny, the final outcome of accountability. So, why does mastering this architecture matter so incredibly much? Because in the end, the source leaves us with this unbreakable chain of cause and effect. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. Your habits, those tiny daily choices to embrace accountability over your excuses, they eventually become who you are. They literally forge your identity. And once you truly see yourself as a disciplined, accountable person who acts despite discomfort, well, your destiny is completely in your own hands. We've seen the blueprint. We know the difference between the folks who stay stuck and the ones who actually cross the gap. This whole architecture of accountability, it's entirely built on the daily choices you make when nobody else is watching. So, the only thing left to ask is the most important question of the day. Look at your own life. Look at your own goals. What excuse will you drop today?